Okay, I'm going to try this for the sixth time, probably. Bob is a bed and breakfast owner. He has put his love, his passion, into creating the perfect experience for his customers. Online, he has great photos, a wonderful description, and he paid a decent amount of money for people to come in and do those things for him. Unfortunately, he's still not able to fill all his vacancies, even during the busy periods. I can help Bob solve that problem. You see, Bob has something that is unique to only him, something that cannot be duplicated by anyone else. But the thing is, he doesn't know that he can use this to help bring in customers for his business. I can take his story and create it into a unique and interesting video to watch that people will want to see it. It's entertaining, kind of like watching a reality TV show. When people watch this video, they'll remember him and have really great impression about him and his place and why he does what he does. Thanks to that, Bob has a much better chance of being able to keep his place booked at all times, especially when it counts the most. So today I've been filling my head with everything having to do with stories and business, and I was actually inspired to start writing another ad script. In fact, I wrote a couple. The one that you just watched at the beginning of this video was one from the book Stories That Sell. And the chapter I was reading, I read one chapter today, was about how to introduce yourself. So we've all got those questions before where it's like, hey, what do you do? And it's like, I cook chicken for a living. But the thing is, what if you were to tell it as a story? And the whole premise was introducing yourself in a way that is more interesting and is descriptive of what you do. And so that's what I did with the example of the bed and breakfast. It was like, hey, you have a bed and breakfast guy. This is his business. It's what he does. He's having this problem. Here's how I can solve it. And it's a much more engaging way to speak with someone. And if you know what someone is, like what business they're in, and you can even ask them, when they ask you that question, they ask you what you do, say, oh yeah. It's like, hey, what do you do? And you'd be like, okay. And then you tell the story of someone in a similar position to them and how what you do helps them. And I just thought that really interesting. So I decided that I would try writing it as well and to see how that works. And maybe I'll try writing some more. No, you never know. You get better from doing things over and over again. Being a cinematographer or an interviewer, I do documentary kind of stuff. I hear stories from other people, and I hear like how people interact, and they get asked questions and they bring back their story, and then you just ask them another question about it and they keep talking. But it's very different when you are not talking to someone or you're just trying to make something for yourself. Like, I don't have to do things for myself very often when it comes to stories because I mostly do other people's stories. So I found it really valuable to do this exercise, and I'm actually really looking forward to the other kinds of stories that this book talks about and doing those in the coming days and trying to present it on camera here to get some experience. Developing some personal skills, not just so that I can help myself, the business, the people who I work with, but also so that I can help my customers, because if I understand this process of doing stories greater, I'll also be able to help other people draw their stories out so that I can create interesting, creative things that people will understand, just click in their mind. And really such a powerful tool to have when you're needing to network to people, talking to people, just being interesting, being remembered. It's a fantastic tool. Now, I watched this 30-second clip today. It was by Dan Lok. He's one of my mentors. And it was about, he received a question of, what do I do if I don't have a portfolio and I'm trying to get customers? And the advice was to simply be honest. Say, hey, you're my first customer. I don't have a portfolio, but that's why I will work harder than anyone else. I'll give you 100% of my attention. And if I do a good job, would you please do a testimony or a review for me? And I just loved that response. It was so genuine. It wasn't contrived or trying to make up some fancy marketing. And that wanted me to write something along those same lines. So I started writing a script for our website. Now, we currently have one website up, but it's not for our main business. It's for a product that's being sold. It has nothing to do with what we're offering as service. It's something else entirely. But at some point in time, we're going to get hosting for more than one domain, so we can have our Your Real Story website. And on there, I've already laid out several pages, but I've been thinking about what kind of thing would I put on there as an introductory video, to introduce ourselves. Because one of the things about being about creating stories the way that we do is that we do it for other people. We don't get questioned ourselves and have, us being interviewed. And so it's a little bit ironic, but I have to spend a bit of time to think through that. And so I'm not done the script yet, but I like the basis of it. I think a few things need to be tweaked, but I'll read it for you. It takes about 1 minute. So you want to grow your small business on Bowen Island, and you know that to do so, building good relationships with your customers is absolutely essential. Unfortunately, it's not until after the customer decides to choose you that they genuinely get to build trust with your brand from the experience that they have with you, leaving your customers open to pursue other options. So how do you start to build relationships with your customers before they ever have purchased or have walked through your doors? Perhaps you've tried old school methods like hiring a photographer or writer to make a nice looking or sounding presentation. The problem is that people don't relate to any of that stuff. The customer knows it's just blatant advertising, and your competitors on and off the island are doing the exact same thing. I'm here to show you the easy way to gain genuine trust and positive engagement with your customers before they even become your customer. Hi, I'm Jeremy Bailey, and I'm a Bowen resident who is part of a local team called Your Real Story. We're helping Bowen businesses gain an unfair market advantage by capitalizing on something that makes you truly unique and unduplicatable by anyone else. So that's what I have so far. And I have a couple versions of this. And you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with what Dan Lok said? Because clearly this does not sound like that advice he just gave. And that's because this is just the first part. You see, the advice he was giving was for someone who has already had someone interested, and then he is trying to close a sale. So you have someone who's interested, they know what you do, and now it's like, why should I choose you instead of someone else? And that was the answer he was giving. In my case, this being like the first page of a sales funnel, it's bringing in someone who hasn't seen us before, so I have to start with some context. Some things like, what do we do? Who is this for? why would you be interested? Maybe you've tried why this solution that we're offering is better than other solutions. Like I mentioned, a photographer or a writer trying to make content that way to bring in customers, and why maybe it's not working as well as you expect it to. So this is the first section. Now the second section of this is going to be more based on what Dan Locke said, and so I'm going to be writing that tomorrow, and I'm actually pretty excited about it. Now, thankfully, we are not beginners starting from nothing, but we are a new company who doesn't have a large history of people who have can testify for us, and it's really important that we get those testimonies. And so I'll bring in my own experience, because I've been doing this for over a dozen years, right? I've been in the entertainment industry, broadcast television, Netflix, did some couple movies that came out this year that are in theaters. So I have a lot of experience. Randy also has some great skills too. He's really good with people. He's done a number of documentaries himself and telling other people's stories. So we really need to find a way to bring that together, to be able to introduce what we do and gain interest from people. Sorry, there's a bug on my microphone. Getting people introduced to what we do and interested, but also understanding that we're not coming from a place with a lot of social proof. Social proof is when you have other people who are advocates for your brand, like people who've left reviews. In our case, especially video reviews, is really important. So how do we do this when we're missing a few important pieces that are really valuable to us? And I believe that the advice from Dan Locke is going to be really important. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then for the third section of the script, I'm going to go into our value stack, or our... So a stack is when you have a whole bunch of things that you offer, and they each have some value, and it's going to be like the total value of all these things is this, but we're going to offer it to you for this price instead. It's all about bringing up the value of what you're offering and putting it into a context where people really understand what it's worth. So I'm really looking forward to this, because it means that we're going to start with serious marketing attempt. And my goal here is, it's not just for the website, but I want to put a video up on Facebook to get known and get some businesses on the island interested in what we do, because we need to help people. We help people fulfill their dreams and what their goals are, and finances is part of that. Like we need them to be able to make more money so that we can make more money, so that we can afford to keep doing what we're doing and to keep honing our craft and expanding and helping other people, getting more experience, so that we can help the people that we work with even more. And the only way we can do that is if we actually succeed as a business, and that means getting some income. So it's really high priority for me to start presenting publicly pitches, so we can start getting business. And that's what I'm doing here, and I hope that in a few days I'll have something ready to go, and that's going to be great. So what you heard here is day one. Well, maybe I shouldn't say day one, because I've been working at this from some time. Like, this is a problem that's been in my head for such a long time, and I've been working at it. I've been reading all kinds of books, watching lots of videos, and this this vlog here is a big part of that. Doing this is helping me develop the skills in presentation, but it's also helped me like, how do I make a shot that is ideal for the purpose? Like, if you go back to the beginning of my vlog, like, the image you see now isn't quite the same as the image I have right now. Now, the progress has been pretty fast. I've only have, like, prior to recording this, I have 4 that are published. So, and, that's just because I have experience. I'm able to know what changes to make to get a good outcome quickly. But, I find I found that it's better to put out something every day than it is to try and get it perfect on the first time. And I'm someone who likes perfection. Like, the reason, well, I shouldn't say this is the reason, but a large point of why I've had the journey that I've had and I'm at the point now that I'm at is because I always think about how to do what I'm doing better than how I've done it in the past. Like, I always want better image, better quality, the ability to tell stories better. And even through the work that I've done in the past, like through broadcast television, and even prior to that, I did customer service, and being able, and to some degree, that's kind of where I began presenting to people. It's where I started honing the skill of writing and refining writing through the input that I get through from the customers. And I that process of just continuously putting new things out and getting feedback, putting new things out, getting feedback, that's what really helps get things done and helps things to improve. And so that's what I'm working on here, and I'm really excited. Now, I also read something really interesting. So every day I'm trying to make a point of reading at least one chapter of a book, specifically some book that brings a lot of value to the table. Like right now, it's this book, Selwa Stories. So far, I love this book. This book is full of information, full of examples. It has tons of studies and other things, like my last vlog that I put out. It had an example of how stories are effective in remembering things. I talked about the story where you had 2 legs sitting on 3 legs, eating 1 leg, and then 4 legs came in. It was like, wait, what the heck are you saying? Like, it's all, and what it's doing is exemplifying what it's like when you provide just information. Like, you give details, facts, and stuff out. It's hard to remember, but when you put it into a story where it's like, hey, 2 legs, a boy, sits on 3 legs, a stool, eating 1 leg, chicken leg, gets approached by 4 legs, which is a dog. So the story is the boy sits on a stool, eats his leg of chicken, and then he gets approached by a dog, and it's so much easier to know, understand, and remember what that story was. So today I found another really interesting thing, and it was this experiment done with a call center. So this was an outgoing call center for a charity, and what they did is they split all the marketers up into 3 groups. One group, 10 minutes before their shift began, they read a story about how the work that they were doing was helping the lives of their customers. So the second group they took, 10 minutes before their shift, they did a story about, everyone had to read a story about how what they did was helping themselves. So like people who had taken the skills from the job that they're doing and gone on to use that to achieve greater things. Now the third group, they didn't read anything. They just came to work at the normal time and did their job normally. And what they discovered is that the people who read the story that about helping other people, and the group that didn't read any story and just went to work, nothing really changed. The amount of the amount that they brought in for the charity stayed about the same. However, the group that read a story about helping other people, they more they literally doubled the amount of income that they were doing because they were working for something that was greater for themselves. They were inspired by helping other people and bringing them, bringing other people success. And that just blew my mind. Like, I knew that it would be better, but I didn't realize it'd be that much better. And honestly, I thought that that there would be people more inspired by knowing what they could accomplish later by what they were gaining right now. But that wasn't the case. I was like, wow, that's fascinating. Like, I might have expected like a little bit better, maybe 25% better or something from the people that are helping others, but they doubled it. And I was like, wow. And so that, man, that's exciting because the thing is, if you know something like that, you can replicate it in your own life. So I'm really looking forward to being able to apply that, like what I'm doing here. It tells me that I need to focus more on helping other people, and that I also need to motivate myself primarily by what I achieve, what the work that I do is able to achieve for other people. And it just drives home the value of getting people testimonies, because I really, that's something really important that I want to get for our company, for myself, for Randy, for Your Real Story, for Sydney Strong, which is another company that we have. It's not just about promoting ourselves and for our own business, but it's also for helping us as individuals, as people, so that we're motivated and that we want to do what we do to the best extent we can. Because if you can get double the amount of, double the impact just from reading a story in the morning about how what you did helped other people, I mean, imagine what kind of difference that could make for us if we started doing that ourselves. And if we create content for our customers that also focuses on what they're doing for for their customers, imagine what happens when the people we work with is watching the content we create that describes to them how what they're doing is affecting their customers. Like, there's so much win-win here. It's fantastic, and it's something that I'm honestly quite excited about being able to duplicate for other people.